Today in the court of Judge Mills Lane. He bought an apartment from this man and got more than he bargained for.
When I entered the house, I was greeted by a big mess.
But this guy can hardly wait for his turn to talk.
Stop moving back and forth. I get seasick, okay? Just stand fast.
I'm ready for you.
I bet you are.
He's arguing the plaintiff is boosting his bills, trying to get more money than he deserves.
At most, $7 an hour.
At most?
Yes.
You're tough. You're tight.
I know I'm tight.
I bet you when you grab a nickel, the buffalo just screams and...
He grew up in the country and in the Corps. He was a boxer, a lawyer, a prosecutor, and a referee. In the ring and in the courtroom, he's fair and he's firm. A fighter and a family man. He's Mills Lane, America's judge.
Sometimes when people move from their homes, they leave things behind. But dirty laundry in a washing machine? Well, that's what the plaintiff in this case says he found when he moved into his new home. He says the former owners were so thoughtless, they left a trail of broken appliances and a huge mess. He's suing for $750. Will he get it? Let's see. The judge is hearing this case.
All right, this is a case about the sale of a house. We have Mr. Robert Resnick, the plaintiff, Mr. Ronald Wachter.
Ron Wachter.
Wachter, the defendant. Mr. Wachter, there's some reason you have to wear that hat in the courtroom?
Yes, I do, religion-wise.
A religious reason?
Yes.
We'll accept that. All right, then let's get it on and get to it. All right, Mr. Resnick, it's your case. You're the plaintiff. Let me hear your side of it, sir.
My wife and I purchased the home from the defendant, Mr. Wachter, who was right there. After the Wachters had vacated the premises, I went to the house to start setting up. When I entered the house, for the first time since they had left, to my shock...
What was that?
Hey.
I want dates.
You shut up.
I want dates first. I want dates and times.
Sir, I want you to listen to me and listen to me good. Stop moving back and forth. I get seasick, okay? Just stand fast. When he presents his case, you will not talk. When you present your case, he will not talk. When I talk, nobody talks. Those are the rules. That's the way it's going to be.
Will do.
If not, I'll bounce your butt right out of here. Go ahead.
When I entered the premises, to my shock, I was greeted by a big mess, garbage all over the place.
Objection.
Shut up. Go ahead.
When I entered the house, I was greeted by a big mess, toys and dolls all over the place, and a washing machine that did not work.
Well, let me ask you a question. I want to stop a minute because I want to take them issue by issue. But let's say that you saw a big, to use your words, a big mess. You can simply get somebody to come in at 10 or 15 bucks an hour, pack it up, and move it out, can't you? I mean, if it had to be cleaned up, it had to be cleaned up. But that's not that big of a deal, is it?
Your Honor, I have photographs.
Okay, I'd like to see those. And I'll show them to Mr. Wachter, too, after I get to look at them. Okay, this is outside the house, right?
Some of those pictures are on the outside, some are on the inside.
Well, it's not as clean as I would like to think that people would leave a house, but can you show these to Mr. Wachter, please? But I don't think it's that much of a disaster. I expected worse based upon what I read in the pretrial information, but we'll let Mr. Wachter take a look at them.
Your Honor, is there a date on these pictures, when they were taken and how they were taken?
I'll ask him, what date were they taken, sir?
Is there proof on this?
What date were they taken, sir?
Those pictures were taken right after I moved into the house.
Okay, and do they accurately represent the scene as you saw it when you moved in?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And to add insult to injury, when I returned back to the house about 2 days later, certain possessions that the Wachters had left behind were gone, such as some Barbie dolls and the toys. This indicates that they entered the premises after they were no longer authorized to do so, and took what they felt was theirs and they were entitled to take.
Well, now, wait a minute. I thought first you complained about a mess that was left. And if they entered the premises at a time they didn't have a right to be there, that's between you, them, and the police. That's an unlawful entry or burglary or whatever you want to call it. But whatever was there that's their personal property, they should have taken it, should they not?
They should have taken it before they moved out. They
Well, I
should not
understand
have
that,
come-
but I understand that, but you're here to recover what your injuries. How were you injured by the virtue of their going into the house and taking what belonged to them, if they did that? What's the injury? What's the injury?
It was trespassing.
Sir, I want to explain a couple of things, and maybe it'll be helpful to Mr. Wachter, too, and maybe to TV Land. In order to recover in a civil case, there must be basically three things. There must be, one, a duty owed to the person trying to recover, a breach of that duty, and injury. Now, that's different than a criminal case. Criminal cases can happen because something is done which is what we call malum prohibitum. It's prohibited by law. For example, if you speed, that's not malum in se. That's not bad because it's bad. It's bad because it's against the law. And if you speed, even if nobody's injured, you can be prosecuted criminally for it. But in a civil case, in order to recover, you must show injury. Now, let's assume, for the sake of discussion, that after you took occupancy of the house, after the escrow had closed and it was your premise, your house, that somebody came back and took out of the house that which was theirs. Let's assume that happened. It's wrong for somebody to trespass on your premises, but how are you injured by that? What are your damages? There aren't any damages, are there?
I felt violated.
Well,
that somebody would walk into my house.
Objection.
Be quiet, be quiet. You felt violated. Well, right now that's not compensable in this courtroom, okay? Your violation, you'll have to live with it. But did they take out of the premise anything that belonged to you?
No.
All right, stop right there. I can resolve that question. If he entered, maybe it was wrong, but they took nothing out of your premise that belonged to you. If they trespassed, if the statute of limitations hasn't run, take it up with the police in Kings County. Maybe he can help
pictures?
you.
I was in the house.
Be quiet. Be quiet. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Shortly after we moved into the house, my wife tried to do some laundry, and she called me up at work. She was very upset. She said to me that the washing machine does not work. There are clothes that are jammed in there.
What day was that, sir?
You know something? You got the hardest head of anybody I've ever known. Well, let's him present his case, and then if I need to find out about it, I'll find out. After you moved in, the washing machine didn't work. I have a contract here that I saw in the pretrial information, and the obligation to fix the appliances does lie, or leave good appliances, lies with the seller of the house. But there's also a provision in the contract, an addendum to the contract, which provides that any cost of repair of any appliance left is limited. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Well, all right, if the appliance, and clearly the washing machine's an appliance, you'd agree with that, would you not?
Yes.
If it has to be fixed, then there's a certain limit about what has to be paid to fix it. Would you agree with that?
If it's on the contract, I agree with it.
Well, let's on the well. I mean, take a look at the contract. You have a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right. Well, look at the addendum on page 11 of the addendum, down to paragraph 33. It says, with regard to the provision of 16F of the printed form, seller shall not be responsible for the cost of repair of any appliance that exceeds $150. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's if you have to repair the washing machine, would you agree that's the limit of it?
Yes, I do.
All right, good man, honest man. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So why is he asking 250? Isn't that embellishment of fact?
Do what?
Isn't that embellishment of fact?
You're a piece of work.
Thank you.
I'm going to get to you in a minute.
I'm ready for
I'm
you.
going to get to you in a minute.
I'm ready for you.
I bet you are.
Well, the judge seems to be warming up to Mr. Wachter. Stick around as testimony continues.
Coming up.
All right. Now, Mr. Wachter,
Yes, sir.
tell me about your side of this case if you have one.
I have a case.